Special thanks to Verve for sponsoring this video. Go to vrv.co/Billiam to get a 30-day free trial of Verve Premium. And stay tuned until the end of the video to find out what I'm watching. Yu-Gi-Oh! May be the biggest weight on this channel's shoulders. I know I need to cover it more one day, but I've been more interested in the odds and ends of the franchise. I recently picked up the Speed Duel sets because I thought I might play them with some friends, but I didn't. A few months ago, I checked out Dungeon Dice Monsters, the failed Yu-Gi-Oh! Spinoff which took Yu-Gi-Oh! And gave it dice. But today, I'm looking at another failed spinoff to Yu-Gi-Oh! Capsule Monsters. When the Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga first began, Duel Monsters, the card game played in the show, wasn't the focus. Games in general were. Yami Yugi would play a game and totally heck some dude up. It was metal as heck. Duel Monsters was a sort of Magic the Gathering analog introduced into the series, but it was so popular with the readers they made it into an actual game, and bam! Yu-Gi-Oh! Was born. One of these early pre-Yu-Gi-Oh! Games was Capsule Monsters Chess. Capsule Monsters Chess essentially consisted of a chessboard and monsters collected from capsule machines. Levels ranged from 1 to 5, and monsters were usually selected at random. Like in regular chess, you kill the king to win, but unlike chess, monsters had different abilities outside of the core set pieces. Although I can't find if there was ever a physical version of this game released, Yu-Gi-Oh! Monster Capsule Breed and Battle for the PlayStation and Yu-Gi-Oh! Monster Capsule GB for the Game Boy Color featured variations of it. The PlayStation release was actually the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Game ever produced. There was also a PlayStation 2 game, Yu-Gi-Oh! Capsule Monster Coliseum. It was released in the United States in 2004 before 4Kids decided to make an anime and push a board game. You created a sort of deck of monsters, and using a currency, AP, and MP, you could choose what moves you can do every turn and what monsters to summon. The stronger the monster, the more MP it costs. The stronger the move, the more AP it costs. First player to defeat the opponent's monsters win. It's a bit of a strategy game that I found quite amusing for the half hour that I played it. Although I love the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game, the idea of a franchise being a hub for a whole wide variety of different tabletop games is something that really intrigues me. And after Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters was introduced, they did try to dabble in that a little bit with things like Dungeon Dice Monsters and different kinds of video games, but by that point, it was already so heavily associated with the card game that it was only going to be so successful. We never got Season 0 in the West, so Capsule Monsters and Burning Your Opponent Alive, the game, was never brought over here. But that wouldn't stop 4Kids Entertainment from coming in to try to milk Yu-Gi-Oh! For all it was worth, just weeks before the original series ended. 4Kids saw the Capsule Monsters idea and wanted to make a full game and anime based on it. So they commissioned a 12-episode spin-off miniseries which never actually aired in Japan to promote a tabletop version of Capsule Monsters. The Capsule Monsters anime was later released to DVD and marketed as a full-length feature film, except it was split onto 2 different DVDs. And on these releases, the episodes were recut to flow into each other to make it feel more like a film. But in later releases, it was just included as a part of Season 5, interrupting the story for 12 episodes. So the American Yu-Gi-Oh! Technically has 12 exclusive filler episodes. Neat. When Capsule Monsters was airing, I was completely unaware of it. It wasn't brought to my attention until after I saw the Yu-Gi-Oh! Capsule Monsters Abridged series by Little Karibo. I was going through a sort of weird phase at this time where I was trying to distance myself from everything I liked as a kid because I was dumb, and now I'm going through a phase where I'm trying to get really close to everything I liked as a kid because I'm also dumb. After Yugi's grandpa goes on an archaeological expedition, Joey wins free tickets to India. On a private jet, they all go, and then they crash on the plane in the middle of India, and according to Taya, they are hundreds of miles away from Egypt. Yu-Gi-Oh! Always dabbled in Egyptian culture, so it's gonna be cool to see them take inspiration from another culture. Well, the gang comes across an Egyptian pyramid. Neat! There, they run into Yugi's grandpa's dig partner, who tells them his grandpa has gone missing. They need to go into the pyramid to search for him, but instead, they find a magic map which takes them into the world of Capsule Monsters. Most of the gang is separated and they have to try to find each other while capturing and evading new monsters. So, Capsule Monsters was originally the pitched name for Pokemon. Capumon. And in Yu-Gi-Oh! Capsule Monsters, all of these monsters have types and weaknesses. They capture monsters in capsules and battle each other, and Tristan gets an ugly Pikachu. So that's neat. I really like ugly Pikachu. Eventually, all of the characters meet up and they're told to complete tasks in order to leave, but all is interrupted when they find out who's been assigning these tasks. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Villain you would never expect. That's right, it's Alexander the Great, the historical figure. I can't wait for the sequel when the gang faces off against Attila the Hun. But it also turns out Alexander the Great's evil half possessed Grandpa's assistant. What a bummer. So they defeat Alexander the Great in Capsule Monsters, and then the good half goes to hell. Probably. And everyone else lives happily ever after. Capsule Monsters is a boring series. It's boring. The stakes are non-existent, and the lack of established rules in the game kind of takes away from what makes a show like this interesting. I also think Trials is kind of a boring story structure. I mean, often there's a riddle involved with these trials. I feel like a riddle can be cool if the audience also has an equal opportunity to try to figure it out. But the riddles are just so out there and specific to the environment of the show, there's no way the audience can figure it out. So it just comes down to the characters messing around for 20 minutes until the Pharaoh figures it out, solves the problem, and explains it afterwards. I'm also beginning to realize that I may not actually like any of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters, or they're just horribly written in this specific instance. There's a moment where Tristan says he's obsessed with melons.
I was the president of the National Melon Lovers Fan Club for 4 years!
And I said to myself, that's not really like Tristan. And then I realized I couldn't really tell you anything about Tristan, so maybe liking melons is something that is very Tristan, I don't know. So like in the show, Yu-Gi-Oh! Will sometimes do this thing where the characters are psychically linked to their monsters. The monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are holograms, so this helps to make the characters feel like there are safety concerns during the duel, which can help increase tension. But in Capsule Monsters, the monsters are real, and the characters also have this psychic link again. But why just not have your characters in actual danger? Because you can do that here, because they're real monsters? Oh, but hey, actually they end up joining in on the fight. Yugi DNA digivolves with his monster to make an Iron Man type suit, and directly gets involved into the fight. It's pretty silly. I find when I'm bored watching a series, I'm more likely to nitpick. These don't really directly affect the quality of the work, but I find them funny. At one point, the Pharaoh translates an Egyptian riddle, and it ends up rhyming in English. In the episode Red Eye's Black Curse, there are tons of sound effects, which I know I've heard in reality shows like The Great British Bake Off, and it's all I could think about while watching this episode.
Something was wrong with that dragon.
That sword before it sinks into the volcano.
I'll do it.
Didn't your mother teach you not to brainwash people?
If you're watching through Yu-Gi-Oh!, just skip these episodes. Being placed right towards the end of the series makes it extra obnoxious because it interrupts the series while it's trying to wrap up. Unless you really like Ugly Pikachu, just skip this one. So what about the game? Well, I couldn't track it down. Apparently it didn't sell very well and not a lot of copies were made because after watching on eBay for months, I have yet to see any active listings for any part of the game. It just came up and died very quickly. From what I understand, the only releases were the 2-player starter set, which came with the board and a variety of classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters, and the first wave of blind packs, which had about 40 random figures in it. However, after this initial limited release, the game ended, never to be seen again. The objective of the game is to get your opponent's king and drain their health to 0. The figures looked kind of cheap, the board looks kind of flimsy, but I'm definitely interested in trying it. It's just too hard to track down. I'm not really sure how hopeful 4Kids was for Capsule Monsters to succeed. At one end, it really seems like they were just trying to do one big last cash-in before the original series ended, and on the other end, I see that they were really trying to develop a new kind of spin-off game. But I'll never know. And unfortunately, Capsule Monsters' legacy isn't really even about the game anymore. It's more about the countless and endless kinds of YouTube reviews and video essays describing why it failed. And nobody wants that to be their legacy. Thank you again to Verve for sponsoring this video. Head out to vrv.co/Billiam to get a 30-day free trial of Verve Premium. Verve has a killer variety of content, from selections including Crunchyroll, Rooster Teeth, Cartoon Network's Boomerang, and more. With such a great selection of curated content, Verve has quickly become one of my favorite streaming platforms. With Verve Premium, you can stream ad-free content to an amazing selection of streaming devices. And you can also sync episodes offline to your phone and tablet so you don't have to be connected to watch. I just finished a project which required me to travel all around the state, and while I was doing this, I had a ton of episodes of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures synced up to my phone. I'm almost done with the first season, and it's certainly bizarre. If you want to talk to me about what I'm watching on Verve and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, hit up my Discord, go to the anime chat channel, and tag me, and I'll be sure to respond. So head out to vrv.co/Billiam to get a 30-day free trial of Verve Premium. Thank you again to Verve for sponsoring this video. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. If this is your first video of mine, subscribe and check out some of my other videos, especially the ones on the screen here. Other than that, try to follow me on social media and have a good day.